The story starts with Lane Iwakura's father, who cautions her about the societal dangers of the internet, also called the Wired in serial Experiments Lain's parlance. When everything is said and done, he continues, the Wired is just a medium of communication and the transfer of information. You mustn't confuse it with the real world. Do you understand what I'm warning you about? Lane is young and has yet to learn how to use a computer, but she knows better than to put her trust in the older generation's tight division between real life and online performance. You're mistaken, she says. Lane was an avid web user when she was 14 years old. Yes, she's a made-up character, a cartoon even, but there's no more terrifyingly prescient web parable than Serial Experiments Lain, a 13-episode anime series that premiered in Japan in July 1998. Lain is a hauntingly accurate portrayal of an online existence in the 2010s. 20 years later, a hellscape of competing avatars, self-serving mythology, disastrous self-importance, compulsion, and inevitably disillusionment. Lane's father installs a cutting-edge personal computer, a Navi, in Lane's bedroom at his young daughter's bemused request. Lane's father is pleased with his daughter's growing technological interest. In this world, he says, people connect to each other, and that's how societies work. You need a powerful method for communication that will evolve alongside your relationships with people. Curiously, Lane's father does not appear to have many enviable relationships of his own. His interactions with his wife are frigid, and his affection for his daughter stems from her interest in her father's career. Even when he's sitting on the couch with just a newspaper in front of him, Lane's father's glasses are frequently filled with the amazing brightness of a monitor. He notices the screen at all time. Lane fears that the new, shimmering screen in the far corner of her bedroom is a cursed portal. But she's on the hunt for her former classmate, Chisa, a young girl who kills herself in the show's opening scene, only to email Lane the day after she's thrown herself from their school's roof. Lane's search for Chisa eventually leads her into the Wired, where Chisa claims to have retreated. Lane is creating a desktop castle without her father's oversight by episode 3. Lane's technological proficiency grows tremendously during the series, as her hardware extends to transform her bedroom into a gloomy, electrified jejunum. Lane gains access to deeper, darker levels of the Wired, or the internet, through diligent study and resourcefulness. By episode 7, Lane, a character who precedes the following term by nearly a decade, is addicted to her proto-smartphone. Her eyes shine too, continually lighted with the passion of a forum troll. Lane creates a second life online, and she even has a fan base, but her encounters with the Wired largely irritate her. She hacks and bickers online. Offline, Lane abandons her companions and stalks about her suburban neighborhood defensively, evasively, and in neurotic silence. Lane gradually learns that the Wired is both a disaster and a trap. For Lane, the web represents mystery, deception, and depth. In the Wired, Lane is a completely different character, a much darker character who is easily moved to vengeance. Lane quickly realizes that her digital existence is a cruel and courageous perversion of her genuine self, a cunning doppelganger who has already developed some terrifying mythology about the girl named Lane Iwakura. The digital Lane encounters a deluded young man hooked to nanomachines who shoots up a nightclub while the real Lane watches in horror. No matter where you go, the digital Lane warns the gunman, everyone's connected. She intends it as a threat, and the gunman is so scared by the Wired's pervasiveness that he puts the gun to his mouth and shoots himself. The digital Lane is a bully, and the actual Lane is perplexed by her personality and objective. With a gasp, the real Lane, the shy middle school kid who avoids human connection and confrontation, welcomes the digital Lane. The actual Lane's effort to reconcile herself with the digital Lane drives the former towards a full and fateful resemblance of the latter throughout the series. Lane's true self abandons her pals, taunts her father, and yells back at her pursuers. She becomes obsessed and enraged all of the time. Her personal mythology is bolstered by the web, but her attitude and demeanor are ruined. But she can't log off, and she can't explain why to her friends or herself. Despite not foreseeing social media as a mainstream way of online existence, Serial Experiments Lain predicted its addictive and disastrous aspects. Lain, the protagonist, and Masami, the antagonist, both create self-importance and an illusory control that the viewer understands as a disastrous loss of self-control. They are unable to stop posting. Despite its foresight, Serial Experiments Lain appears antiquated. Lain's bedroom is overrun with technology, which includes large fans, black tubes, and bulkheads. From the show's opening credits until its tangled ending, there are wires everywhere. There is a strong affinity for the term cyber, as seen by the name of a popular nightclub, Cyberia Cafe and Club. Lain eventually abandons her real-world pursuers, the Knights of Calculus, and the Men in Black, and Lain and Masami primarily export their struggle to the web. That's where they're from. That is where they compete for sole divine dominance. As a result, it is realized that the web does not require traditional, physical grunts to enforce threats against a human being. On its own terms, and within its own frameworks, the web is fully capable of destroying a person. Despite the web's numerous disasters, Lain never unplugs. Rather, she burrows deeper into the wired, persuaded by equal parts deduction and illusion that mankind lives and dies as a result of her unique membership in the wired. Ultimately, Lain's will wins out over Masami's plot to demolish the distinction between the material world and the wired. The series doesn't climax with Masami's gruesome disintegration in Lain's bedroom, but rather with Lain's friend Arisu barging into her room to drag her from the buzzing cafe. The real Lain reasserts herself, and she embraces her fearful friend. Serial Experiments Lain ends with a teen girl sobbing over a Madeline, regretting her terminal investment in digital life. In the final scenes, Lain shows no hardware or wires, yet the worrisome murmur of electricity resounds in every corner of civilized life. No matter where you go, Lain feared everyone's connected. Presumably, the sound is Wi-Fi. And that's the end of the video. As always, if you liked the video, please drop a like and subscribe to my channel. And that's your daily dose of anime.